Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Agile IT Tech Talk. I'm your host, Sean Spicer. From here in my home studio, you can probably hear my son losing his mind in the kitchen. Today, we're going to get a little bit weird. So I've done a lot about security. I've done a lot about teams and teamwork throughout these Tech Talks. And about a week and a half ago, I wrote a blog on games that you can play remotely with your teams using Teams. And this blog took off, made it to the front page of the sysadmin blogs subreddit, got a lot of really positive feedback on it. I'm sorry, my son evidently had more coffee than me this morning. And so because of how well received this blog was, I thought this would be something to share. Now, with everybody working from home, there is a need to connect with your teams. And we started out because we went home right before St. Patrick's Day. We had a happy hour that night. We have regular Friday happy hours, which are fun. Sometimes we do performances. Last week we did a trivia game, which I will be showing off here in a minute. Now, you're going to have to pardon me on this. I had everything all good to go with about 40 browser tabs open to show all of these games, as well as a couple of my own personal game platforms like the Epic Games Store, Steam, and my computer just couldn't take it. So I'm going to have to open these tabs as we go and close them. You really can't have 20 games running on a single machine. So if you do want to see the blog, it's already written up. You can get to it at agilit.co/games, and that has links to all of the games that we're going to be discussing. So let's get started here. I'm going to go ahead and bring over a tab, and I'm going to work through the blog here. So I'll show you what we wrote. So just go over here to blog. I could have gone the short URL route, but I wanted to show off all of the wonderful blogs we've been writing recently. All right. So the first game I want to show off is Keep Talking and No One Explodes. I've been playing this game for about 8 or 9 years with various friends, and this is an incredible team building game. So it can be run in VR. So if you've got a Gear VR, if you've got an Oculus, the person who's the bomb diffuser actually gets to interact with the bomb using the hand controllers, and it's really fun. But the goal of the game is to defuse a bomb, and you are broken up into two teams. There's the bomb diffuser, who is all alone and working on the bomb, and nobody else can see the bomb, and he has to communicate back to the defusal team, which has the bomb manual. And this is also really fun because you get to have bombmanual.com in your browser history. And within the instructions, there are different clues and hints. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and share it with you guys real quick so you can see what it looks like. So one person is going to run the game. And now this is a shortcoming of this game for teams, is because anybody who's going to be the diffuser has to have a copy. You can get DRM free copies at GOG.com. I purchased this through Steam. I also went and bought a copy through the Android or through the Google Play Store to use with a Gear VR. So I can play it on my phone with the VR headset, or I can just play it on my phone. There are deals. You can sometimes find it for about $5 or $10. I think the nominal price is 15 or 20. Give me a second as Steam loads the game here. It's gonna, I think I've got it set it up to be muted and windowed. And this is what the bomb diffuser is going to see. So nobody needs the game who's not actually diffusing the bomb. Everybody else is going to work off of this bomb manual here. So within the game, you've got your standard menu. You can click on bombs. Now, as you play through, you'll get different, it gets increasingly difficult. So we go ahead and start. And I'm not going to actually try to do this. Now, this is really fun in an office if you have multiple conference rooms, or you can stick somebody in an office with it. So here we go. And as soon as we click, it starts. And now what you've got is you've got a number of cues, and you've got to describe to people what you're seeing. So I've got a detonate button in the upper corner. Okay, so I've got jumper panels with some wires, 2 red and a black, and then you can, oh, and this one's simple. You don't need to rotate it. But some of these bombs are actually 6-sided, where you've got buttons, you've got to spin it all around, and you start. This gets really frantic once the timer gets down to about 30 seconds, and meanwhile, your entire crew, and I'm going to close this out to go back to the menu, is flipping through trying to find, like, where are the wires? Where are the wires? Very frantic game, but also very good for communications, and really teaches you where the shortfalls of communication can be, where things can be miscommunicated, particularly when you're trying to describe symbols. And yeah, some of these have very interesting names that I've heard come up with in games. But again, Keep Talking, No One Explodes, and Nobody Explodes is a really good team building game. So moving on, next is Settlers of Catan. If you play board games, you've heard of this. This was a Game of the Year winner years and years in a row. And the company that made it was nice enough to make it available for free on the web. And this takes a few minutes to load, and I'm not going to actually kick into the game, but I want to show you how it gets in. So it gives you your basic requirements. Now, I did blog about another popular board game called Ticket to Ride. That can only be played if you have Flash enabled, and I don't do that on my computer. I don't do that on my work computer. Flash is a mess, but it is another one of those games that if people download the apps, they can play together as a team. So while Catan is loading in the background, I'm going to go ahead and tax some things. So role-playing games. This is a fun one. There are lots of role-playing games out there and lots of ways to play them online. And during one of our happy hours, it got brought up that a couple of us had been playing a game with some local friends online. And Jesse, who some of you probably know, he's one of our SharePoint engineers, said, "Hey, I'll run Dungeons and Dragons game for you guys." And Roll20 is a virtual tabletop for playing Dungeons and Dragons, Fate, Cyberpunk, really any kind of role-playing game you can think of. And it is free. I think it's $10 a month if you want to deactivate ads. I play once a week. I probably should give them some money. I think it's a great service. I really enjoy playing with it. Now, one thing to note about Roll20 is they do have the ability to video chat. I'm not going to show off right now, but the video and voice chat is kind of buggy. And what we've done when we're playing as individuals and not part of the company, we've done this using Discord. However, when we played over the weekend, it was a 2-week session that Jesse ran for us. We played using Teams, and we're able to share everything in here. And what we've got here in Roll20 is a map. We can move our characters around. I think I was the cleric. Oh, there I am. So you can move your characters around to indicate where you are. You've got the ability to roll dice. You've got your character sheet in a central place. And additionally, if you do play Dungeons and Dragons, this will make some sense to you. So you've got your different roles. I'm on my spells here, but we can go to core, and you can do your saving throws just by clicking them. It makes it really simple, and everything is here in the chat. So again, you can do Dungeons and Dragons or just about any other role-playing game. But one thing that's really cool is that Wizards of the Coast, who published Dungeons and Dragons, have been pushing out over the last 2 weeks, and they are continuing to push out free adventures. So if it's your first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, you can download the player's manual, you can download free modules that then will work within Roll20, and some of them are already there. So really, there's a wealth of resources if you want to get started. And additionally, Roll20 does have the ability to find games and find groups. I'm going to skip charades. Charades is a no-brainer for going ahead and running through teams. Now, heads up, if you've got friends that are into mobile games, if you hang out in pubs, somebody has pulled this out at some point. It was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I guess she does it a lot. I don't watch much TV, so I haven't seen it. But whenever I walk into a room and I see somebody holding a phone up to their head and people acting crazy, I know what they're playing. So Heads Up is a game that can be played through Teams with video chat. So the only issue is in Teams, you're going to have your local view window in the lower corner. And what we suggest is just put a Post-it over your personal window. But again, this is another game that can be played through Teams. Tabletopia is a free board game platform. Now you can purchase games as well. And am I signed in? I am signed in. So you can find games, you can make games. There are tons of games around. And there are lots of free ones. So you play online. And this works like a lot of your web-based games, where you're going to go ahead, create a lobby, and you're going to invite, well, this is just everybody playing, I guess. But you can send invites, share through Facebook. And once you get your players in, you can go ahead and play through in a web-based tabletop. This is really fun and it gives you a lot of variety. And then some of the more popular games, you're going to pay board game prices for, but you're supporting the game developers, so really worth it. Next, Age of Wonders. This is the one I was talking about, Ticket to Ride. I'm not going to open it up because it does require Flash. However, you can get, it is a free app through Google Play and the App Store, and you can play those online or through your devices. Now, Jackbox Games. Now we're starting to get into the risque stuff. I'm going to scroll up a little bit so you don't see the next one coming. Jackbox Games makes a series of game packs. And let me open it up here. And every now and then you'll find them for free. You'll find them relatively inexpensively. I got the original Jackbox Party Pack for free from the Epic Games Store a while back. And what's interesting about Jackbox Games is only one person needs to own it, and it's all played through mobile devices. So let's go ahead and start. I went through beforehand and muted everything. So it's got a quiz show, Drawful, which is kind of like that old game, win, lose, or draw, but a lot of the cues are a little bit risque. Word Spud is a fill in the blank game. Lie Swatter is a bluffing game. Fibbage, and let's go ahead and play Fibbage. Fibbage is fun because Fibbage gives you trivia questions that you then have to give a fake answer to. So to join XKHI, we're going to put in that room code, but let me show you something cool here. Like I said, this is all about games we can play in teams. And this is another nice trick, working at home and working from my browser. If you right click on any tab in Chrome, and this also works in the new Chromium based Edge, you can pin and it will always keep those tabs over here. So I do that with Teams and Outlook through out the day so that I always have it right there. I'm going to go ahead. This is in my Sean Sandbox. If you've seen some of my Tech Talks, you have seen me do that. But I forgot that pin. Let me switch over here real quick. XKHI. And enter your name. I am always Spicer. And then when we go back to the game, it's going to show, okay, one person's here. Now, quickly, I'm going to open this up. And XKHI on my phone. And now I'll be Spicer Not. You'll see me join up here. And then we can click everybody's in. And now it has an announcer that speaks. I just didn't really want to bother you guys with all the extra noise during a tech talk. And he's talking right now. Here are the players. Okay, only 2 of you. I can make it work. So now you've got the game runners screen running here. let's go ahead and bring that here. All right, round one. He's explaining the rules. Again, without the sound, it's a little bit meh. All right, so Spicer Knot has to pick the category. We're going to pick Sleepwalkers. It's going to give us a trivia cue now. So Budget Hotel Chains Travel Lodge reported that between 2006 and 2007, about 90% of sleepwalkers found in their hotels were, and then it's going to prompt us in here to make up a lie. He is still talking, and that's what we're waiting on. There we go. So now we enter a lie. So hotels were elderly, and we'll send it. And then on this side, I will say IT workers and send. Okay, so now once all the lies are entered, you're going to see that there are different answers that can be down here. This can play with up to 12 people. So now everybody's supposed to select. I'm going to say naked because I know what the answers are. And then you get the ability to do bonus points. So IT workers and elderly. So I'm playing this between two devices right now, really playing alone. But if one of you wanted to right now, you could go to jackbox.tv and put in that XKHI and join me. Don't bother, I'm going to close this in just a second. But there are a number of very fun party games that can be played in these Jackbox packs. So if you see them on sale, pick them up for $5-10. Definitely worth it, particularly since it'll run in teams. Everybody can join and play independently within their teams. So this is a really good option for playing games within, and really quick to disconnect, playing games within teams. So Cards Against Humanity. I am not going to play Cards Against Humanity with you guys right now. But a little bit of background, Cards Against Humanity was an online game that I believe started on Reddit. And it was originally, it's kind of like Mad Libs. There are cards that are prompts, which will have a sentence, like blank said to blank is, and then you've got cards with really, really crass answers that can fit in there. And like I said, this is a HR department's nightmare. And normally you'd have to play in person with these cards. And why are we linking to their Twitter? Playingcards.io is another virtual tabletop that is focused on playing cards. Again, it's done just like the Jackbox, where you're going to get a room code. You put in the room code and you play the game. If you want to play Cards Against Humanity, because this game was originally open source and all the cards were released under the Creative Commons license, anybody can create a new version of it, but they can't use the name Cards Against Humanity. So Remote Insensitivity is their version of Cards Against Humanity. But because this is a virtual card table, you can play any game you want. So we'll go ahead and we'll start the game. And there it gives you the link. That's the pin that would be entered. And I did not add this. This will run within Teams as well. So recall and shuffle. Yes. And it is literally a deck of cards. When you place here, it's in your hand and you can see them. And likewise, the other players have their own section. So you can just say, hey, John's over here. And when people show up, it will have those labels. Now, again, you have to know the rules of the game if you're going to play. There's a discard pile. But yeah, if you've got 3 friends and you want to play spades, there you go. And I'm calling out our CEO and anybody else in the company who wants to challenge me to spades. None of those Marine Corps rules either, Conrad. But yes, this is another just handy tool. And again, this is for keeping teams together and remaining social and keeping that culture running while we're working from home. But again, there's nothing stopping you from using these games to play with your friends, play over the weekend. Now, Kahoot. I was not aware of Kahoot this time last week. Well, actually, I had just heard of Kahoot this time last week. Um, like I said, at our happy hour, every week somebody is in charge of it. Now, we jokingly call our project manager Paige our cruise director, because she's the one that organizes it and picks people out. Well, our director of operations, Maggie, was selected to run our happy hour last week, and she did an amazing job with Kahoot. And Kahoot is a quiz game that allows you to make your own trivia games and trivia sessions. And again, everybody just joins up from their mobile device. They do have to have the application, or they can load up from a browser. I've created one here, Tech Talk demo. Whoops, I don't want to edit it right now. You'll see the answers. But I've just added 2 questions. So go in here, host game, play one of your own Kahoots. And this is free for personal use. The business version, I believe, is $10 a month, can host up to 100 players or 10 players, but it also integrates with Teams. So we're going to go ahead and play. I'm going to host. Takes a second to load. We're going to go ahead and do it classic mode. And it's going to give us a pin. I'm going to mute it. Okay, and so we take this pin, and again, this is another one of those that works in Teams. I've already added that to my sandbox. Enter the game pin. Oh, and I will be Spicer again. Okay, go. And I'll move this over here for now. And we're going to start. So question number 1. Oh, you have to see, so you would share your screen. How many games can you fit in a single Teams channel? And everybody's going to have the ability to answer. So 730 points. Then the person running the game hits next. True or false, this is the best talk ever. And again, true or false. And what was really engaging about this for our team is that rather than just doing simple trivia questions of who won the Super Bowl in 1972, Maggie took the time to go around to the entire team and ask them interesting facts about themselves that nobody would know. I'm going to go ahead and leave out my fact. You've got to work at Agile IT to find out my secrets. But this was a really, really engaging way for not only our teams to come together, play a game, and have a good time on a Friday evening. It was also a really fun way to learn little things about the team. And it's often those little nuances of, oh, so-and-so is a tremendous Kiss fan. Oh, so-and-so is related to a famous 18th century, 19th century whiskey distiller. So really, really fun to find out those things. And it really brought the team together in a good way that normally the happy hours don't. Well, the happy hours do bring people together. But at the same time, it's more engaging to play a game. It's always fun when you have friends over, when we could have friends over, to sit down and play a board game together. There's something about the challenge. There's something about having a task in front of us that we have to work on together. That's not a task ahead of us like a Office 365 migration or setting up conditional access policies for people. Now, some of you on the line, thank you everybody for staying on and watching this. Some of you on the line are probably thinking, oh God, Spicer he's at home and he's playing games all day. I actually don't play games all day. I have left out a lot of multiplayer games that can be played through the Xbox. Yes, this is a Microsoft household, or through game platforms like Steam. There are lots of free multiplayer games. I guarantee you the gamers in your company have already found the ways to play video games together. And what I wanted to present today was I wanted to present the games that are more like board games, that are open and accessible to everybody, whether or not they've got those twitch reflexes. So As always, thank you for joining us for this Tech Talk. We will be cutting off the recording and opening this up for open Q&A. If you want to see the recap, I've already shared that URL. It's there at agilet.co/games. In addition to our Tech Talks, for the last 2 weeks, we've been doing a twice weekly session with Conrad Agerman, our CEO, called Coffee with Conrad. And you won't see the recap there. You'll see the recap of Coffee with Conrad. You can see all of those episodes there, as well as register to join us live. These take place at 9:30 a.m. Tuesday and Thursday Pacific Standard Time. And rather than being a tech talk where we do the deeper dives into how the technology works, this is more of an architectural session that's delivered more towards executives so that we can explain the way that different components work and how some of these different features of Microsoft 365 and the entire Microsoft platform can be a benefit to a company in a larger way than what we can explain in Tech Talks. So these are generally 10 to 20 minute talks on this architectural level, followed again by the Q&A. But this time we actually record the Q&As so that they can be a benefit to everyone. You can see those past episodes, like I said, here at the URL or on YouTube. If you're watching online, give us a like and follow, and thanks for joining us. Have a great week.